scholarship guidance as well. So we guide our students about what would be the best admissions approach, what would be the best desirable option for them, and what would be the best options for scholarships as well. We specialize in also helping the students prepare for the language test preparation, that is IELTS, which means that in ability we provide we have IELTS instructor through which we provide different services of preparing the students for IELTS, conducting mock tests, giving guidance on how to pass IELTS and how to gain the best possible marks in IELTS as well through our professional consultants. Other than that, we specialize in providing career and academic counseling, and we basically all the guidance from as the student comes to us. We counsel the student, we guide the students, we provide applications for the students, and until this there is a visa and pre-departure support. All of the support is provided by Ability Education, so that we ensure that the process is very smooth and comfortable for the student. We also help with the resume writing or helping the student in guiding about SOPs and profile enhancements, that we can create a well-rounded and as well as a very effective profile for the student that would be accepted in those universities as well. Other than that, we also have workshops for English skills, so that we also have a medium or a way in which we guide our students and help them prepare for interview preparations as well. Either those are interviews within the university, either these are the interviews in the embassy. We guide our students and we help them prepare for these interviews so that they're able to excel in these domains. We match the students with the best university programs, which would be the most appropriate options with them, and how to secure funding and scholarships in those programs, and what programs would align the best with their personal, professional, as well as financial goals. Moving ahead, if I'm talking about what are the basic ethics that as an organization we base Ability as. So we have a very well-defined forum of ethical considerations, and we aim to and we oblige to work by these ethical considerations that include that commitment to confidentiality, which means that the data of any student, any client that we're dealing with is not shared with anybody else, and there is confidential information, different filing systems, which means that the personal information of the student and the personal data of the student is completely confidential, and with their counselor and the visa processing individuals who are taking care of their case, and is not shared in any forum or within the domain, within the organization as well, to the people who are not related to that case. Transparency, which means that we are transparent with our dealings. There are no hidden fees. There are no domains in which we are not giving the student information. We ensure that students is well aware about what process we are working on, what are the domains that we are working on, what are the universities we have applied, what is the update on those domains. Hence, we try to keep our process very transparent, very clear, so that there is mutual communication as well as transparency during the process. We ensure the beneficence of the students. So we ensure that the benefit of the student and the welfare of the student is our first priority. Rather than focusing on other domains, we ensure that we do what is in the best interest of the student and in the best welfare of the students. We work with integrity, and we ensure that there is righteousness in our domains, and the integrity of the individuals who are working with the students as well as the students and their families is ensured. The document keeping and record retention is excellent here at Ability Education, because we have computerized filing systems in which we keep the information and documents of the students, and we ensure that there's retention of those documents. Hence, no documents is shared with any unrelated party, and there is no leakage or any sharing of information that is not required. Informed consent, which means I believe there are a lot of students here who know psychology and know how the importance and the significance of informed consents. So here at Ability Education, we ensure that we inform our student, their families, about whatever process we're going through, and with their consent and with their go ahead, we proceed with our dealings. We ensure that there is information for the student in every possible step, and they're very well informed. And that is how we proceed with the dealing, so that there is no hidden agenda within or miscommunication within the counselor as well as the students. Lastly, if we're talking about a very important ethical consideration, that would be professional competence, because what are we if we are not competent? So here at ability, we ensure that there are different trainings, workshops, seminars, webinars, different activities that ensure that we are up to date to the market, and we ensure that we have the competence to deal with that students, so that we are able to provide the quality services and quality information to the students that come here at ability education. Okay, so now I'll be asking Sir Haris Mahmood Mughal to take over from this and tell you about the process of application and how the process proceeds within UK. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wajeeha. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hope you're doing well, and thank you so much for coming over here, taking out this time. I believe this will be a very fruitful session. Some of you might be knowing some of the steps which I will be discussing, but the main agenda is to actually get all the steps in one place. And later on, if you have any specific questions, we will definitely be able to help you and answer those as well at the end of the presentation. And even after the presentation, if you have any questions, you will have our contact details as well. So now let's start with the presentation, and let's start with, although the slide says the UK checklist, but let me tell you a bit about UK as a destination as well. Now, United Kingdom has been one of the most favored countries in the world for higher education, and that's been from quite a lot of time. Because of the competence and because of the quality of education their universities have been imparting. Apart from that, UK education, higher education, has a very strong and deep impact on Pakistan as well, in a way that most of our parliamentarians, most of our decision makers, most of our senior, you can say, bureaucracy is either they've gained their degrees or qualifications from the UK, or somehow they are connected with the UK education system as well. So that is how you can say the country has impacted our education scenario and our professional world as well. You'll see a lot of British graduates or university alumni being placed at some very important and high level positions in Pakistan. So if someone wants to make their career, I must say UK is the best place for them. Yes, they would have to plan it properly. They would have to know the do's and don'ts, the yeses and the no's, how to actually go through the whole process. So let's start with the checklist. What basic things do you need? And meanwhile, if I'm not audible, if there is any issue with the presentation, if the video is not clear, anything like that, please let me know meanwhile, okay? I'll be listening. So first of all, the basic thing, you should have a valid passport. Now it says normally the passport validity should be minimum 6 months to apply for a visa, but I recommend that you get a fresh passport, because the duration of your study, which you'll be spending overseas in the UK, you'll have a visa for it. And if your passport gets expired in between, then it becomes a hassle to contact the Pakistani embassy and get a new passport. So you should have a valid passport, and the expiry date should be well off in the future. This is the first thing which you need. English proficiency tests. Now, there are a lot of tests which are being held in the market. The most favored of them is IELTS and PTE, Pearson Test of English. If you have any of these two tests, probably you will be accepted, your English competency will be accepted in any university across the UK. Now, a standard score which you need for a PTE is a 59 overall. That equates to a 6.5 bands in IELTS. And this is what you require if you are going for a master's degree. For PhD programs, it's mostly 7 bands in IELTS, which is required, and PTE that equates to more than 64 points. The score might vary as per the university, but this is a general requirement which is required. Now, coming to the academic transcript and degrees, you should be sorting all of your degrees, academic transcripts, documents, starting from matriculation or your O levels, going till the date you completed your bachelor's or your master's. Every degree, every transcript should be in line, should be in order. Uh, it's not required that you get them attested by IBCC or HEC, but if you do, that is better. That will help you later on in the process. You should have a resume with you. It should state all your academic profile. Try to make it in a chronological order. Your whole profile should be there, and all your work experience letters should be there as well. Like work experiences should be mentioned in the resume as well, right? Uh, the next very important thing is immigration or travel history. Now, people tend to hide their refusals, hide their immigration history because they're afraid that the UK visa officer might think negatively of it. But trust me, if you're hiding anything, if you're not telling your immigration history truthfully, that is the biggest deterrent for your whole profile, right? You should not be hiding any of your travel history or
Rightly, ma'am.
immigration history, any refusal as well. Immigration history, very important. Please be truthful. Do not hide anything. The next thing which you ought to be working on when you're planning for your education abroad is your statement of purpose. Now, your statement of purpose is basically a personal essay. It is kind of a statement, a one-page statement which you write. And you write about your ambitions, about your plans, that why do you actually want to study a specific program at a specific university, what intrigues you, what excites you to study that program, and how it aligns with your career and your education background as well. Now we'll talk more about the statement of purpose later on in the presentation. There are some formats in which some universities they require you to write that statement of purpose in a certain format. So we will definitely discuss that later on in the presentation as well. Extracurricular activities, internship certificates, work experience letters, they all should be sorted. They all should be, you can add all these to make your profile better. Work experience letters are the most important. Uh, they are verified by the immigration and by the university as well. So if you're adding any work experience letter, please give a call to your HR manager as well in the organizations you have worked and inform them that I'm presenting this experience letter for an embassy check, and you might get a call from the embassy. Uh, Sometimes employers, if they do not verify your work experience letters, they might be considered into a fraudulent document as well. So try to keep all your documentation in line and the verification thereof in check as well. Okay, now coming on. For credit transfer application, like a student who is studying in Pakistan and he has done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 semesters of his degree, and I'm talking about undergraduate degrees, they can also transfer their degrees to UK. Now, UK offers a very specific pathway for transfer degree programs. In general, if a student has passed 4 semesters of bachelor's in Pakistan, those 4 semesters would probably gain him a second year of bachelor entry in UK, right? So a bachelor's in UK is 3 years as compared to a bachelor's in Pakistan, which is normally a 4 years degree. So if let's say someone is studying psychology and they've studied 4 semesters of their degree, they can try to gain a second year entry into a bachelor's program in the UK. And similarly, if someone has studied 6 semesters in Pakistan, they can try for a top up year entry. Top up year entry is the last year entry in UK. So you'll be getting into your third year of bachelor's, and just studying one more year will gain you a bachelor's honors degree. Definitely, this would require course assessment by the course convener or by the course leader as well. So every case is assessed differently. They would ask for your syllabus, they would ask for your transcript, and they will see that how you have scored in the relevant units. And then it will be a mutual decision by the course convener. But this is how normally it works. Moving further, you must have 2 recommendation letters with you. Try to get them from your teachers or from your professors. But if not, if you've graduated a long time back, then you can get them from your employer as well if you're working somewhere. So recommendation letters is just say it's kind of a reference letter. It just says that, hi, I know, let's suppose if I talk about myself, hi, I know Mr. Haris Mahmood. He's been a very good student or an asset to our company, and he has XYZ skills, and we really recommend him for higher education abroad. This is how a recommendation letter normally goes. There's no fixed format for it. So whatever good words your employer or your teacher or your professor can put in, it helps. Next you need is a UK TB certificate. Now there are approved centers, you can find them online. There's a TB test, they take a chest x-ray for you. These certificates are valid, mandatory if you want to go for the UK visa process. So and they are 6 months valid as well. So at the start of the process, when you're aligning all your things, get a TB certificate as well. Most probably in the next 6 months, you'll be needing it. Birth certificate, please sort it out if you're using financial statements of your parents. If you intend to use a financial statement of your own, then the birth certificate is not required, but please do try to arrange it in the start. The last thing is bank statements and the financial documents. Basically, UK requires a 28 days maintained funds in your or your parents' account. What are those funds? We will discuss them in the next slide. So basically, I've done with the checklist. If I have or you have completed all these documents, scanned them, put them in your laptop, now you're good to go to apply for the UK. Now you probably won't be needing any extra thing during the process. And having all the things completed will actually ensure that you get your offer letters on time, that you get into the desired university you're looking at, that you do not miss your intakes, and that there won't be hopefully no hiccup in the whole process, right? Okay, I'm moving to the next slide. Now, moving to statement of purpose, a very important part of completing your documents require a well-written statement of purpose, right? So you'll find two types of approaches when you're writing for a statement of purpose. Most of the universities would want you to go and follow a pattern. We'll talk about what kind of pattern that is, right? Uh, Apart from that, some universities would ask you not to follow a pattern and just speak your heart out. So, how it works, let me tell you. If you're applying to a university, which is a Russell Group University, which is like, for example, Oxford or London School of Economics or King's College, or you can say University of Sheffield, Exeter, Manchester, the top 100 universities in the world, or top 10, 15, 20 universities in UK, they would want you to talk about the inspiration, that why do you want to study a course in the UK, how this course will change your life, how this course will impact the people around you, and what kind of future you see with it, and how it aligns with your career goals as well. So this is the kind of thing which a university like Oxford or Harvard or any Cambridge would want to listen from you. But if you come to any other university, and I would say that most of them would want a detailed account on what kind of you can say research you have done. So let me talk about those basic guidelines. First of all, you'll be giving your introduction. Now, introduction in a statement of purpose means that you will be talking about who you are, where you're from, what kind of education you have gained up till now. Um, so this is the basic introduction you have. Moving forward, in the second paragraph, you list reasons and inspirations for selected course. So that is the same thing which top universities, they ask you for the same, that why have you selected us? How will you impact us and we will impact you? And what change you will bring around in the world with this degree? So reasons of inspiration, shortly, briefly, you can mention it. Even if you're not going to a very high ranking university. If you're going to a university which is probably ranked top 800 in the world, or 700 or 500, could be because your budget is low, could be because you do not have that kind of profile that you could study in Cambridge or Oxford, but still you have to study abroad and have to make a career, right? So that inspiration part, although you can add in a very short one, but it is important. Then list educational and professional backgrounds in detail in chronological order, that I completed my matriculation in year, then my bachelor's or my A levels in this year, and then if you took a gap year, explain that. If you're working, if you have any work experience, explain that as well. And put on dates as well, or years or months in your resume, so that the admission officer who is actually reading your profile, they can track your progress, that okay, the student has been a consistent student, and if you have taken any gaps and you have justified them, they can also look at those gaps and understand the justification as well. Further, you'll mention your achievements, any extracurriculars which are relevant to your application, you'll mention them as well. Moving forward, you'll put your research on UK down in your statement of purpose, that why actually have you selected UK for your education. Now, this part is very important. This is the main question which the university might ask you again and again. And even the visa officer will ask you during the whole process at the end, if you get a visa interview, they will be very specific that, okay, why do you want to come to UK? Why have you selected UK? What do you know about us? So you cannot give a generic answer that UK is very good and it is a developed country. No, they know it already. You should know some exact details. You should know stats about quality of teaching, quality of research, the research outcome the UK is producing, the facilities the students have, um, things about culture, society. So research in UK should be mentioning that as well. And tied to that is research on selected cities and universities. So, for example, if you've selected to study in London, and you have selected to study in a very specific university in London, like for example, Queen Mary University of London, or maybe you have selected to study at Brunel University. So you should be knowing about the whereabouts, where the university is located. Is it in central? Is it in a suburb? What kind of amenities are provided on the campus, around the campus? Also research about the employability of the university, the facilities of the university, the teaching outcomes, the research outlook. There is a lot of other stats, the student satisfaction indexes. There are a lot of other stats apart from just the rankings as well. So rankings is not the only main thing students should be looking at. They should be looking at these other stats as well, and then make an informed decision to join that university in that course in that city. So uh, this research should be reflected in your statement of purpose, so the admission officer, when they study, they know that it is a well thought out plan. It is not just a plan that your friend or your counselor suggested you to, okay, select this university, it's very good for you. They don't want that. They want you to make a sound, learned, detailed research and make an informed decision for your career. So mention that in your statement of purpose. Okay, now then detailed career plan. A career plans basically include that what you will gain out of this whole education. For example, if you have an undergraduate degree in IT and CS, let's suppose, and you want to do a master's in cybersecurity or AI or digital analytics, something like that. So you should be mentioning those specific career pathways you want to take, which will be a result of these degrees. And also, your career plans should include what kind of areas you will be employable in, right? What kind of designations you can, if you're a mid-career person, you're working on a managerial level and you're seeking to progress towards a director level or something like that, you should mention that journey, that I'm seeking this out of it. So these kind of career outcomes should be researched and mentioned as well. Lastly, you should do some research on living arrangements. Now, it's not necessary to actually put all the living arrangement details in your statement of purpose, but do make a research on the housing available. And if you like some really good housing options, they're available in the university and they match your needs, you can mention them, that I've searched on the living arrangements and they really match my requirements as well. That is another reason for selecting your university. Now, lastly, some universities would definitely want you to include financial sponsor details in your statement of purpose. that what kind of funds you have with you, who is sponsoring you, what is the source of income for your sponsor, what is the financial position they have. So you have to keep all these data aligned and matched as well. Other universities might say that this information is not included, so please exclude it from your statement of purpose. So you can do that later on. But if initially you add this in your SOP or an essay or a statement of purpose, pretty much you have completed all the details which are required. Later on, moving from a university to university, we can add or subtract some areas in the whole statement of purpose, and you probably won't have to work more on your SOP or on the document. It will be kind of a complete document you have. So all these areas, mention them, and you have a complete statement of purpose with you. It will be, you can say, flexible. You'll have to change it as per the university requirement, but at least you'll have a comprehensive document with you. So that is what a statement of purpose is all about. Now you have all your documents complete and you can proceed with the application process. Let's move to the next slide. Oh, bank statement requirements. Right. So financial requirements, understanding them is also very important. Most of the candidates, when they start their journey, they do not understand the financial impact of the whole decision they're making. They would rather, sorry, they would rather go for the ideal university they're looking at, the ideal course they want to study. But eventually, down the process, when they check on their finances, then they get to know that, look, we're short of money, or we might not be able to complete all these financial documents in time. So checking on your financial ability and checking on the what kind of actual finances are needed, this is very important, and you have to do that when they start. Now, again, in the bank statement requirements, do have your birth certificate with you if you're using your parents' statements. UK requires 28 days of funds maintained in your bank account. It could be a current account, it could be a saving account as well. For 28 days, you will have to maintain these funds in your bank, and by maintenance means there's a certain threshold of balance. You should maintain it. The closing balance of the statement should not go below that threshold. How that threshold is calculated, we'll talk about it in a while, right? So you have to maintain that. Above that thresholds, your statement might have some transactions, debits and credits. That's okay, but the balance should not be reduced below a certain level. Now, after you've maintained this 28 days bank statement, you apply for your CAS to the university. Now, CAS is the document you get officially from the university to file your visa. The document is basically tied up with the UKVI visa systems, and they would know that your application is coming in. You have to maintain these funds in the bank until you get your visa granted. Once you have your visa granted, then you can start utilizing these funds for the purpose you have kept them, right? So moving ahead, how the bank statement is calculated. You need to reflect in the bank the amount you need to live in the UK. The first thing is living expense you need to put. So now the living expense currently, as of today, is calculated as £1,334 per month, and you have to show of funds up to 9 months available. So like for up to 9 months, that like makes up to around £12,006. So equivalent, like £12,006 in equivalent Pakistani rupees, you can just multiply it by the current exchange rate. Probably it will be somewhere around 38 lakh rupees approximately, I'm saying. Uh, but this is the fund you need to have in the bank if you're living in London, right? If you're living out of London, if your university is out of London in any part of UK, then the funds requirement in the bank is £1,023 per month for up to 9 months, which is £9,207. If you multiply it, it is somewhere around maybe, I'm not good at quick maths, but do it on your calculators and see what the current pound rate would equate into, right? Uh, So these are the living funds which you need to show in the bank. Now be very mindful if the pound rate is, let's suppose, 365 for today. So let me calculate how much, let me just show you that how much it becomes if you want to go and study in London. So it's like 43 lakh 82,000 something in detail, right? Do not multiply or do not use the exchange rate which is as of today. Pakistani currency, it varies. Normally, pounds and dollars they shift a lot. So add 20 to 30 rupees extra to a pound rate when you're calculating it. For example, if the pound rate today is 365 rupees, make it 385 rupees when you're calculating these funds, right? So this way you'll have a buffer zone, you'll have a safe pocket of funds. And during the process, if the pound rises in value or something happens, your bank statement will still be usable. So these are the living arrangements which you need to show in the bank. Apart from that, add any remaining unpaid fee to the university. For example, your university fee is 10,000 pounds a year. Let's suppose, and in that 10,000 pounds you have by the time you'll be filing your visa, you have paid some advance deposit to the university. Let's say you have paid only 3,000 pound advance deposit to the university. So the remaining 7,000 amount tuition fee which is pending or unpaid tuition fee must be reflected in the bank statement as well. So these figures add the unpaid tuition fee which is remaining to the bank account, and then you have the complete bank statement which is required for your visa. So I've given an example. If someone is going to London, if someone is going to study in a university which has 10,000 pound annual tuition fee and they've paid 3,000 pounds in advance, they're left with 7,000 pounds remaining of tuition funds plus 12,006 pounds of the living. So you combine both of them, right? They become 19,006 pounds, and then you multiply 19,006 pounds with the going exchange rate, and you have your basic threshold of the bank statement. So, hope you guys have understood this. Moving ahead, working rights. Now, UK, just like other Western European countries, US, Canada, Europe, UK is very, you can say, receptive or open for student working part-time jobs. The limit is, however, 20 hours a week. So 20 hours is something you're allowed to work. You can work anywhere, any kind of job in the UK. If you're a university student, you have some specific skills, you might get a very good job in the university as well. Apart from that, it is highly recommended to find a job in the areas where your, you can say, expertise are utilized as well. So you can gain some relevant experience. For example, a salesperson can work with some really good brand as a salesperson, but if someone is an academic researcher, they can work as a in a university as a tutor or a part-time tutor or something like that, or as a research assistant. So the minimum going wage in UK is 11.4 pounds. You'll be probably getting somewhere around, if you start a basic job anywhere in the UK, it will be around 11.4 pounds. And if you're doing something a bit skilled, it might go up to 15 pounds or 20 pounds as well, depending on the kind of jobs which you're doing. Now, generally speaking, if you're doing your 20 hours per week, you are covering sufficient funds to fund your living expenses over there. So, like your rent, your food, your travel, these are kind of things you can manage while you're working a 20-hour shift in a week. For your tuition fee, it is something your parents, your family should be funding or sponsoring you. Now, a general trend is, let me talk about it because since we are talking for the benefit of those who are hearing, some students, they say that they will also try to cover their tuition fee while in UK, and while studying, they'll try to work as well. Now, be very mindful that if you're going to a UK for a master's, it's only 1 year, and that 1 year is going to pass very quickly. You won't know what happened and how quickly the whole university is, the degree program is spent. So that 1 year you should be utilizing more in your education in relevant jobs so that eventually after that, when you get a post-study work permit, you get a really good job and you get settled in. If you're trying to earn your fee, earn your way through the degree, you might not be performing well at your education, and in the end of the degree, you might be facing a dilemma that you have a degree with a third class honor or with a second class lower degree honors, and then you might not be landing good enough jobs or good enough interviews to get a sponsorship further, right? So it is very important, try to stay within the limit of your week, of your work budget. If you're working more than that, trying to earn your fee, first of all, that won't be a legal thing to do. Secondly, it if you might even go through it, it will affect your education. You will, however, be allowed to work full time on course break. So full time work is allowed during semester breaks. If your semester is finished, you have a semester break, you can work full time. There's no limit on that. You can do some good saving at that time. Now, a 2 years graduate visa is given, which is normally generally called a post-study work permit when we talk about it. Um, if you do a bachelor's or a master's degree from the UK, right? If you've done a bachelor's or a master's degree from the UK, you get a 2 years graduate visa. It's a post-study work permit. It's basically a kind of an open visa where you can find jobs, you can find employers, you can work any kind of job you want, part-time, full-time. And the main aim for you should be to get a sponsored job. What are sponsored jobs? We will talk about them in a while. For PhD students or doctorate applicants, the post-study work visa goes up to 3 years. So those who are doing their PhDs or doctorates can get up to a 3 years graduate visa in the UK as well. So this was all about the working rights. I hope you guys are following me. Anything in between, please let me know. I'll try to, add to it. Now, skilled work visa requirement. You noticed in the last slide, at the closing remarks, I said that in the post-study work visa, you should not be just doing any job. You should be trying to get a job which gives you sponsorship. Now, what is a sponsorship? A sponsored job basically is a job which we're working for an employer, and not just any employer, an employer who sponsors you for a skilled work visa. Now, what is a skilled work visa? A skilled work visa is basically something which ensures your future stay or your career in the UK. You might get a degree, you might get a post-study work visa, you might do some jobs over there, but when your post-study work visa is finished, you're required to return back to your home country. Now, meanwhile, what can you do to actually secure a future, a career? You want to stay further in the UK, you don't want to come back. What you should be doing? You should be trying to get a skilled work visa. And that skilled work visa is basically coming from an employer who can actually sponsor you. It's not coming from an employer who actually is giving you a job but not sponsoring you for a visa. That is something you do not need. So, what is the requirement for a skilled work visa? It's very simple. Your annual salary limit is 38,700 pounds to be eligible. If you have a job with a salary 38,000 pounds, 38,700 pounds, your sponsor would be most probably in a position to sponsor you for a skilled working visa, right? This is the limit threshold set out by the UKVI, so you have to follow it. Now, it's not just the salary. Your occupation must be in the Cascot occupation coding tool as well. What is a Cascot occupation coding tool? Just Google it. You'll land on the official UKVI website and you can search if your occupation is listed or not. In layman terms, let me explain you what it is. It is basically a list of most demanded occupations in the UK. It will have occupations such as plumber, electricians, technicians, down to occupations such as surgeons, psychologists, uh, engineers, computer science experts, all of the skilled shortage areas in the UK are listed in that list. And you can see if your specific occupation is over there. Most probably, if you're a STEM student, science, technology, engineering, maths, if you're a STEM graduate, or if you are someone with some very specific skills, could be nursing, could be something like that. you'll find your occupation is listed on the CASCOT. And once it is, and you are getting the annual salary limit of 38,700 pounds, it means they will give you a further 5-year work permit stay in the UK. And that further 5-year work permit stay eventually leads towards an indefinite leave to remain ILR, which is kind of like a permission to stay in UK further until you get your passport or something like that. So that is how you can secure a career over there, by getting a skilled work visa during your post-study work visa. Now for STEM graduates, now, I'm not talking about just STEM bachelor graduates. There are very specific occupations which are listed. You can find them on UKVI website for some very specific STEM graduates and for PhDs. The salary can come down to 30,960 pounds as well. So not in all cases, it's not 38,700 in all cases. In some STEM graduates areas, specific areas, you'll find them on UKVA website. And for PhDs, it comes down to 30,960 pounds. That is sufficient for you to get a sponsorship. There are some very specific conditions to please refer to the UKVI website for those very specific conditions to be eligible for a 30,960 pound salary bracket for a skilled visa, right? So this is how you make a career in the UK once you're over there. And let me tell you, UK is one of the, you can say it is one of the very strong employable places in the world. There are a lot of businesses, there are a lot of research being going on. You just need to prove yourself and put in the right kind of efforts to actually get in a job. It is a place you can make a career, right? So let's move ahead to the next. Now, steps to apply. I think I've covered a bit of them, but let's go. Okay, what steps you will be going through during your journey. The first thing you should be doing is shortlisting. Now, shortlisting of what? Shortlisting of universities, courses, locations you think you might be studying. It is all the research you'll be doing with your counselors. And if you think we can help you, Ability Education can help you with shortlisting options as well. Then you come to straight away budgets, what you can afford, what you can pay, how much funds are available in your bank. We need to sort them out in the start to actually eliminate those options which are not good for you financially. Then after shortlisting and budgeting is done, we move to the part of applications and SOPs. Now, application preparation is a whole process. We help the student with that, filling out their application forms, applying to the universities, writing the right kind of SOP which the university requires. What kind of SOP a university requires? We just talk about it in the previous slides that some universities would just want to talk about the inspiration and others would want to follow you a pattern. So we'll be happy to tell you that what kind of SOPs university is requiring, your specific university is requiring. Once you've done all that, then you get an offer letter from the university. Now, offer letter is something which lists your course, your fee, your conditions for acceptance and denial. It is a legal document by the university. It tells you all the details that what kind of course you're going at. The offer letter might have some conditions as well. So for conditions, conditions mean that you might be short on some IELTS score. You might have to submit some further document to the university. You have to meet some deadline for submitting those documents. These are the things we help you out with. You meet all the conditions, then you're good to go and pay your tuition fee to the university. Meanwhile, we work on your visa checklist as well. So what kind of documents you require for a visa, if your bank statement is up to date, if you have submitted all the documents timely to the university. Having done that, the university will issue you CAS letter. Now, what is a CAS letter? As I mentioned earlier, it is a legal document by the university. It's linked with the UKVI system. They would know this specific student has been accepted in the UK, specific UK university, and now they're filing their visa. Once you have a CAS letter, we help you with the visa submission. We help you with the preparation of the interviews, which the visa officer might take. And there's a list of questions. We have a question bank with us that these kind of questions the visa officer might be asking you. So you can prepare in advance. You can do your research in advance and be prepared to speak up in front of the visa officer. Visa interviews are not mandatory. It is up to the visa officer. They can send you an email and just send you a Zoom link and say, we want to talk to you. And if they do, you must be prepared to actually go through that. Once the whole process is done, the outcome is received, mostly, and UK has a very strong visa ratio from Pakistan. There are not as such refusals. So God forbid, if there is a refusal, we help you with the refund of all the tuition fees. So your tuition fee is safe. It comes back to your account. Visa fee which you've paid to the visa officer, it's not refundable. The insurance you've paid to the visa officer, it is also refundable. You can get that back in your bank account as well. But apart, if there is not a refusal, if it's an acceptance, which normally is in more than 90% of the cases, then we give you a pre-departure guidance that how to move ahead, what how to book your accommodation and all those kind of things which are important for your traveling and for your enrollment over there. So these are the steps we take you through, and it normally takes 6 months, at least 6 months for us. And some applicants are even in touch with us for over a year, and they prepare all these things and they actually select the kind of university they want to go. So let me mention there are two main intakes in UK. One is January and the other is September. So if you want to catch January, apply 6 months before. If you want to catch September, apply 6 months before. There is a short intake in May. It is a very limited intake, very limited courses are available. But May is also something which students can target if they want to apply now, if they want to apply today. They can target my intake, and there are a lot of universities who are still open for January session as well, although it's less than 6 months now, but for January, students can still apply. So that is the process which you'll be following. Um, Moving ahead, okay, courses offered at Institute of Professional Advancement. I think the IPAA team will take over on this one. Am I right?
Yes, I can definitely talk about these. So these would be three programs that we have together been collaborating on, and leadership development programs where IP offers leadership training courses focused on developing skills. And then there is this professional development courses where IPA would be offering services regarding, professional development courses tailored for individuals seeking to improve their skills. And then there are these online webinars and seminars for students guidance where we generally talk about, how to prepare yourself for studying abroad. So these are the things that we would be interested in offering. And Haris, do you have anything else to include?
No, perfect. I would just say for all the participants or who are over here and those who will, just take this webinar later on in the recorded format,
Yeah.
must
Yes.
take these professional programs which IPA is offering, because all these, like, why are we here today? We are here today to inform our youth, our masses, our students about the possibilities, the opportunities they would have. Now, if you want to prepare yourself, these kind of platforms are very important for you to actually get up to the mark and get the right kind of direction which you need to put your career on, and that direction is something which will eventually help you to make a successful career for yourself. So
Definitely.
that is what I'll add, that do take all these webinars and seminars, and try to get up to the mark, up to dated information wherever you can.
One thing that I would like to add
Haris, if anybody would want to reach out to you, yeah, please.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to add is that Saharis was very right about this. That these courses, these development programs, and these are something that really reflect in the student profile as well. If we're talking about
Definitely.
the applications abroad as well, that is the topic of our webinar. So we would know that these the courses like that and these workshops and webinars also reflect well on the CVs of the students over their professional standing, which shows the involvement with their degree, with the work that they're doing, and they need to thrive and get better. And there's it perfectly shows that there's a constant learning space, which means that student has not just graduated or not just have done a master's, but rather they're completely in the state of learning, of excelling, and they have that drive and motivation to excel and learn. So definitely these courses also help for the student profiles as well while you're applying abroad, in different universities, and definitely add worth to your standing as a potential student.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Wajeeha, for endorsing this and for adding on this. Thank you. It was such an informative session. I mean, you both of you talked about Wajeeha. Thank you so much for introducing us to the entire concept and the amazing work that your team is doing. And then thank you so much, Harris, for very comprehensively talking about every single aspect which the student need to be aware of before starting to apply. And I specifically would like to appreciate where you talk about the financial things, and I love the bit where you said that you need to go ahead and you have to leave this room of fluctuation, like adding the pound as not 360, or maybe adding it as multiplying it with 380. So I think that these are certain audience, and definitely the recorded session would be uploaded soon, and people can reach out. And if any of our students would like to reach out to you, could you provide with your contact information maybe?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. So basically, you can just search Ability Education
All right.
on Facebook or LinkedIn. We're there.
Perfect.
You can just reach out to our website as well. The approach is very easy. Let me tell you, we are located in Lahore, DHA
Okay.
Phase 5. And if someone is in Lahore, then it's very easy for them to come and visit our office as well. But if they're not, they can set up an online appointment or an online meeting as well, and they can just reach out to us directly via our social medias. We are available on that.
Perfect. That's great. From the audience, do we have any questions? I mean, the webinar was very elaborative and informative on its own, but if you have any questions, they are here to answer them.
I do have some slides left. If you have time, shall I go through them as well?
Yes, maybe I think it would be great if you could talk about them briefly.
Yeah, I'll try to make it a bit brief, but let's go to
Sure.
the other side.
Sure.
Okay. Now, just a bit, where can IPA students go? Like, where can you guys go who are listening to us? Just an example, there are a lot of universities in UK, hundreds of universities. I've just mentioned some names, but I won't go into the names. You can find a university in UK starting tuition fee from £8,000 a year. And then it goes up to the top-notch universities, which are like listed top 50, top 10 in the world. And you'll find a tuition fee which goes up to like around 30,000, 35,000 pounds a year. But the good thing is that you don't have to pay for all of it. If you think you're a really good student, there are some very good scholarships out there, and we can guide you on them. For example, the scholarship which we help the most with the students is Commonwealth Scholarship. Okay, then there are Chevening scholarships as well. There are fully funded programs. Now, how these Chevening or Commonwealth scholarships work is that you must have an offer letter or an admission letter from the university. Let's suppose you want to study at Exeter or Southampton or Brunel, right? We will help you with the admission offer letter from the university. Then this independent scholarship body like Commonwealth, or like even British Council has some scholarships as well, or like Chevening, they would want you to go through their process of shortlisting. So we help you in that as well. You have to write some essays, you have to give some interviews, you'll have to talk about yourself. Once they've shortlisted, you get a scholarship. It means that education is now funded by that Commonwealth or by Chevening. You don't have to pay out of your pocket as well. So a lot of options for you to explore. Get into the process. Let me tell you, finances would be the last thing holding you back if you really want to go and study abroad. We have some very good options where you can get private funding as well. If your grades are not very good and you want to take a student loan for your education, there are some international organizations who would give a student loan to a Pakistani student and fund them to study in UK or USA. And then also they will stay connected with you during your career, because it is a student loan, you would have to pay them back eventually. So they would help you with your career journey as well, so that you get employable and then you are eventually in a place where you can pay them back as well. So these kind of programs are also in place, and we help students with that. Moving ahead, uh, let me tell you some professional bodies in UK. Why I'm mentioning this? So when you're searching in the UK for any course, do see if it is professionally accredited or not. So for every profession, there is a professional body in the UK. For nursing, you'll find Royal College of Nursing. For chartered surveyors, there's RICS, and then there's a British Medical Association. For engineers, it's Institution of Engineering and Technology. For psychologists, you should be going for a degree which is BPS, accredited, British Psychological Society accredited. Then there is British Computing Society, and so on and so forth. If you're doing an accredited course, which this means you're more employable, you have a stronger chance to get a skilled worker visa, to get a sponsored job in the UK. So do check out the UK professional bodies as well once you're applying over there. Moving ahead, destinations we deal. Now, it's not just the today's session was about UK, but it's not just UK which we can help you with. We can help you with Australia, New Zealand, USA, Malaysia, Germany, France, Hungary, you name it. We have all the, can say, major destinations in the world covered for our students with scholarships, with fundings, with the options you would want to study, and with the right kind of guidance for the visa. So you have a one-stop solution for everything. You can always have a free counseling session with us by visiting our office, and our counselor will spend 30, 40, 50 minutes with you and explain to you in detail what kind of options you have, what kind of finances are required, what kind of processes you would have to go through to reach to these countries or to study in these countries. Having that information, make an informed decision, and do let us know where we can help you guys, right?